All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Jeff, and this is Real Estate Matters. This show's been on the radio for about 4 years, and I've been a real estate agent since 2020. This is YouTube is this is a first step for us into our company, Black Hole Broadcasting Network, into transitioning our podcasts into video casts. So bear with me. Or tell me in the comments what I need to do different, okay? Anyway, we are talking about what you do when you sell your house in July of 2026. And why is that even a comment? Why is that even important to think about? We have a lot of misconceptions about price, for one thing. For many, many years, we would put our house on for a lot of money, more than we thought we'd get for it. And then we would think that, okay, we can negotiate down. That is not a winning strategy in today's market. And there's two reasons for that. One of the main reasons is people don't want to negotiate, number one. And number two, people are going to see the pictures of your house, your whole entire house, and they're going to make a judgment about the price right then and there. The judgment is going to come when they're looking at your house along with every other house in the neighborhood. So, real estate agents used to price a house, and they still do today, by looking at all the other houses in the neighborhood and then determining your house value versus everybody else's house's value. And that is how we came up with the price. And then you would usually tack on another $20,000, maybe $50,000, hoping that you could just get that. That buyer that just is going to give you that is gone. At this point in time, they're gone for a lot of reasons. We won't get into those reasons, but let's just go with they're gone. Okay. The next thing is that what we're thinking about is so the price right on day one strategy is not just, okay, well, let's just price it with what everybody else is doing. Let's take a look at everything. So you're going to look at what are the comps of the neighborhood, right? That means what is everybody else selling their houses for, and how do those houses compare to yours? That's the foundation. You also want to think about, okay, so is the garage really in great working order? Is the furnace really in great working order? Is it a 20-year-old furnace versus a new furnace? When I say price right, what I want to make sure is that when someone else comes in to look at it, they can say, oh yeah, this is a good deal because the furnace is 20 years old and it's $5,000 less than the next door neighbor's house who's got a brand new furnace. So pricing right means going through all those types of things and working toward what is it that your house is actually worth, and what is it that is worth compared to everybody else's houses that are in the similar price range. And that's where we want to go with the price is right. Okay. Next up, we want to make sure that when we're doing our house listing, we want to make sure that everything is looking appropriate. Okay. The price is number one, but the number two thing is going to be curb appeal. Right, the very next thing is going to be curb appeal. So you want everything painted. You want a fresh coat of paint on everything, inside and out. Again, because buyers are able to choose houses that have done that. That's the problem. That's the problem for you as a seller, right? So you can paint the house, that gets rid of all the scuff marks, that gets rid of all the dents, all the other things, get all that taken care of. Get all your landscaping done professionally, even if it's just one time for the pictures. Get your whole house pressure washed. Get all the windows clean. Get all the photography done by a professional. Those are the things that help get the house to look amazing on the listing. Okay, and the listing that's going out into Zillow is what people are going to see first. And they're not just going to see yours by itself. They're going to see yours with 25 others in the same neighborhood. Now, that's just what it is today because there's a lot of inventory on the market today. In 2021, there was no inventory, so people could charge whatever they wanted. But we're just not there anymore. So let's go ahead and take a look at our next slide. So this is kind of contradicts exactly everything I just said before, right? The buyer is going to negotiate. Well, they're not going to negotiate the price. They're going to negotiate repairs, and they're going to negotiate the cost down. So you say, okay, well, Jeff, what the heck? Well, why don't I just price it $10,000 higher, and I'll just give them the $10,000 during this negotiation period? It doesn't work that way. It's not going to work that way for you. The reason it's not going to work that way for you is because of what we just talked about with the price. So they're going to expect to negotiate things like any repair. So if the furnace, let's say the hot water heater has a leak in it and you can see the leak underneath, you see like leak marks, they're going to negotiate it, right? They're going to, if you have a really nice lawnmower sitting in your garage, they're going to want the lawnmower included in the garage as part of the deal. Anything that looks like a repair, let's say that there's a burnt out light outside, or there's 5 burnt out lights outside, or whatever, they're going to negotiate that into the repair addendum. They are also going to negotiate home warranties. These things were almost gone for a long period of time, but the home warranty basically covers things that naturally break on a house. That could be a whole show in and of itself, but they are negotiating for those. In fact, I hadn't seen one of those in like 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden this year, I've had two deals where people wanted the home warranties. They run between $600 and $1,000 a year, and they fix things like leaky faucets and stuff like that. And they do not normally fix really huge items like a furnace replacement. They wouldn't do that. They would do a furnace repair, but not a furnace replacement, things like that. And each one is a little bit different. So you'd have to, you obviously need to negotiate. If you're getting into a home warranty situation with somebody, and they're asking you to pay for it, I would just pay with whatever you think is reasonable, give them the money as a credit toward that cost. Other things that they're going to want you to help with closing. And there's going to be some reasons for that, but they're going to want, so in the past, you might have said, well, I'm never going to pay closing. Why would I pay the buyer's closing costs? You want your house to sell? You're going to help with the closing costs. You want your house to sell? You're going to offer 2.5% interest to the other agent, because that's the way it always had worked. That's the way everything had worked in the past. So that's what you're going to do if you are serious about getting this house sold. So the thing about buyers is that they're in a position to do that because there's more inventory out there than there has been in the past. So if your house has been off the market for a long time, this is a new thing for you. Okay. Now, number 4 is a little bit about the same as number 3, and that is this is going to be really helpful for you if you think about what it is that you want to see in a house as a buyer. This is a really good exercise for you. Once you have a real estate agent, ask them to take you to a couple houses. And then start looking at the house critically. Like if you were going to live there, what would you want fixed? And then go back to your house and do the same thing. That's the standard that you need to have going into selling your house. Now, if your home is well maintained and your home has all of those appliances, have good maintenance records, that instills confidence in the buyer. If you say the furnace is 20 years old and it's not been maintained in 10 years, that is not confidence. And you're going to be asked to pay something for that, either in a buy down of the overall of the house or as a credit toward a new furnace or furnace repair. That's just the way it is. Okay. So my suggestion to you is that you get all the maintenance issues taken care of before the house goes on the market, because it's no matter what, if they see it, they're going to ask for it. They see like the frayed ends of a carpet. So let's say that the carpet is perfect everywhere except on one seam where everybody walks in and out of the living room, and right there it's peeled up a little bit. They're going to ask for that to be fixed. So you should get it fixed before they ask for it to be fixed. And if you throw a rug on top of it to kind of hide it, then when the home inspector comes, they're going to pull the thing up to look at that, more than likely. So yeah, getting those things taken care of is really helpful for you. It as a seller, it'll make it so you have the opportunity to get out of these negotiations later down the road. It just creates a smoother transaction. All right, let's get on to the next thing. So when your inspection comes, so you get your house under contract. Yay, you just got your house under contract. Now these people want to come look. They got 10 days to do the radon test. They got 10 days to walk through with inspectors and contractors, those kinds of things. That's when they're going to find these issues. Those 10 days after you go under contract. So the best advice I can give you is to get that done. Get those things that are problematic out before the inspector shows up. I would just say that is the key thing, is get that done before the inspector shows up. Okay. Now, when we think about the buyer psychology, this is where the meat of this particular episode is, right here. If you think about what you are giving up and what you're getting, and you put yourself in the place of the buyer who thinks about what they're giving up and what they're getting, it's much easier to negotiate what they're asking for, because you're going to ask for the same things. So every dollar after closing is going to feel like they don't have it. And I'll give you an example. I just closed a deal where the person who was selling the house decided that that they would sell all the appliances that were promised in the sale. And my buyers were ready to cancel the deal because they didn't want a seller credit. They couldn't take a seller credit. They didn't have any more cash. They needed the cash to make that deal happen, for those appliances that were taken as part of the sale. They were taken, but they were taken and they were supposed to be there. So the deal almost fell apart because they didn't have the cash after the deal closed to buy new appliances. Even if they'd gotten a seller credit, they still didn't have the liquidity of the cash to buy those appliances. So you got to think about what does that mean for people? What does that mean for the client? What is that your client as a seller? If you have someone who's like, hey, I can't do another seller credit, there's other things that you can offer. Like, so how that deal ended is that we had them give a check after close. We wrote it into the closing document that the check would come out of seller proceeds and go to the buyer for the amount of the appliances. That's how we worked that deal. But you got to realize these people will walk away from a deal, even at last minute, if they think that they're not going to have enough money after the deal. So that's something you need to think about as a seller. You want to be prepared to make sure this transaction is smooth all the way to closing. And the only way you can do that is to be on top of what's going on and be reasonable when you're negotiating. So, all right. So in closing, here's how I would select and choose your people you're going to work with. Your agent is somebody who needs to talk to you about how they're going to market the thing. Okay. Are they going to just put it on Facebook? That's not enough anymore. Are they just going to put it in one MLS? That's not enough more either. What is your guy going to do? What is your real estate agent going to do? What is the team of agents and people that are going to work for you going to do? And I think that where you have the leverage is not necessarily in the price and the sale and the negotiation with the other buyer. It's in picking a team of people that are going to work with you and communicate to you exactly how things are going and why things have to go the way they have to go. And that's the difference between now and maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you could just put your house on the market, it would sell because there was no inventory and the interest rates were 2%. Well, now they're 7%, 6.5 to 7. That's a big difference. So, you have to think about how is it that your people that are going to come and look at your house, how are they going to be greeted? How are they going to be handled? How is your house going to be marketed to them? When you need to call your agent, are they going to take your call at 8 o'clock at night? Those are the things that are really important. Or is your agent strictly a 9 to 5 person? There are agents out there that work 24/7. There are agents out there that work 8 hours a day. There's agents that work by themselves. There's agents that work with teams. And so I'd encourage you to think about, like, what is it that you need from your agent before you go get one? If you think you're going to do this alone, I would have real reservations about doing that. And we should probably even do a show on what it would be like to do a transaction with ChatGPT. It's certainly possible. It's certainly doable. But if you want to make sure this thing closes and all the facets of it are done correctly, having an agent is definitely the way to go. And that's what you come to expect from an agent is a smooth sale, a reasonable price for your home, and no surprises at the end or even after. And that's why you go with an agent and a team of people that are professional to help you do this. And there's a lot that gets wrapped up into why you go that route. Okay, our final closing remarks here on Real Estate Matters is this. When you're selling in July 2026, what is most important is your price point, and it needs to be realistic. What is next most important is your curb appeal. What's next most important is the maintenance of the home. All the deferred maintenance has to be done. And at that point, your buyers are ready to come take a look at the house. If the buyer shows up at the house and it's well maintained and it looks beautiful and the price is right, you're going to get a quick sale. If those things don't happen, then you're going to negotiate, or worse yet, people aren't even going to look at your house. There's houses that have been on the market for over 150 days. No one's even taken a look at them. Why? They're overpriced. They might be the most beautiful house on the block, but if they're overpriced, people are just not even looking. All right, that wraps up Real Estate Matters. See you next time, everybody.